Last year, I had the opportunity to visit Japan and it was amazing. I visited a bunch of countries, but honestly, I've enjoyed my trip to Japan the most. The country is very high tech, it's got a great standard of living, it's got amazing people, great cuisine, and a culture that dates back thousands of years. So, Japan has got it all. So, therefore, it's no wonder that more than 3 lakh international students choose to study in Japan every year. But you'd be shocked to know that roughly just 1% or 3,000 of those international students are Indian. So I decided to find out why is it that such few Indians study in Japan. And after doing a lot of research, I came to one conclusion. Japan suffers from a lack of awareness or a lack of marketing. And so in this video, I want to explain to all of you all what it is like to study and live in Japan, how the application process works, the costs involved, the scholarships, what it is like to get a job, stay back, and yeah. So I've got a whole lot in this video. Do watch it till the end. Hi, my name is Ameya. I'm a study abroad counselor who's helped hundreds of students get into the world's top ranked universities abroad, and I also create study abroad videos to help students make the right career decisions. So if you haven't already, do subscribe to this channel. It will be a win-win for the both of us. Okay, so let me begin by explaining why I think everyone should seriously consider studying in Japan. Now, on one hand, you have one of the world's largest, most high-tech economies, fourth largest or fifth largest depending upon which estimate you choose to believe, but very large nonetheless. And on the other hand, you have a collapsing population. Today, Japan's population is around 125 million. That is set to drop to just around 100 million by 2050. So Japan is right now facing a demographic collapse of epic proportions. And so the only way they can actually increase their population and stop this collapse is by relying on immigration. Now, historically, Japan has attracted students mostly from China and Nepal. They in fact form around 50% of the international students in Japan. But what the Japanese have realized is that the Chinese students most likely go back home to China after completing their education, and Nepal's population is too less. So the only country they can look at to solve their immigration woes in the future is India. And that is exactly why you should study in Japan. While many Western countries such as the US, UK, Canada, Australia, and many other continental European countries are tightening their immigration laws and making it difficult for the Indians to actually settle down, Japan is rolling out the carpet. So this is the primary reason why you might want to consider studying in Japan, but that is not all. There are many more reasons. Japan has some great universities. It is one of the safest countries in the world, and culturally it is very similar to India. So it makes adjustment to life in Japan simpler than what it would be if you plan to study in the West. Let me next explain the education system in Japan so you all get an understanding of how universities and education is set up in general. You see, in the 1800s, Japan was observing what Europe was doing to Asia. They saw that many European countries had actually colonized large parts of Asia, and rightly they feared the same fate for themselves. So they realized that they would need to think like the West and they would need to industrialize like the West. So what's the first thing that they did? The first thing that they did was they set up their university system to mimic the West, which is why you see that today the universities in Japan follow the Western pattern of education. If you take a look at undergraduate degrees in Japan, they're mostly 4 years in duration. Postgraduate degrees are mostly 2 years in duration. Pretty standard. At the same time, at the undergraduate level, you can choose to go for specialized degree programs or for liberal arts programs. At the postgraduate level, you need to go for specialized programs, but you're allowed to choose from a variety of electives from within your specialization. And university types also mimic what it is in the West. Just like in the West or even in India, you have public universities, you have private universities, and you have vocational institutes that give students specialized job-oriented skills in specific niche areas like healthcare, IT, cybersecurity, game design, anime, and more. Now, when it comes to the curriculum and the lecture load, students typically take 8 to 12 classes per semester, which in theory seems like a lot, but in practice, students attend class for only 4 to 5 hours per day. And the grading system is like what you would be used to in India. You typically get grades from a scale of A to F, with A being the highest grade and F being the fail grade. When it comes to assessments or grading, at the undergraduate level, 50 to 70% of your final grade would depend upon your final exam. And at the postgraduate level, around 30 to 50% of your final grade would depend on your final exam. The remaining weightage, both at the undergraduate as well as the postgraduate level, will come from other activities such as projects, assignment, and research work. Now, while Japan is a tech powerhouse, 70% of the students in Japan actually studying humanities or social sciences. And yes, in Japan, business is classified as a social science. So those 70% students also include the students who are studying business or management courses. Now, apart from this, 12% of students study engineering courses. So you can see that more than 80% of the students who go to Japan actually study either social sciences, business, humanities, or engineering. But these aren't the 4 degrees that are popular in Japan. You can find great degrees in other areas as well. However, I would think twice before studying either law or medicine in Japan, because a degree in law or medicine for Japan won't help you get a job in other countries should you choose to immigrate to other countries later on in life. Okay, so in terms of universities, Japan has got some of the world's top ranked universities. It has 4 universities in the top 100 and 9 universities in the top 200. The number 1 university in Japan is the University of Tokyo, which is ranked number 36th in the entire world. This university has produced 17 prime ministers, 5 astronauts, and counts as a part of its alumni the founders of companies like Hitachi as well as Toyota. So it's a great university to go to. And guess what? This university is also very popular with international students. It hosts more than 4,000 international students at any given point of time. But it's still not the most popular international university for students to study at in Japan. That title actually belongs to Waseda University, which is a prestigious private university. Waseda University actually hosts more than 5,000 international students annually. Now, it's not just the University of Tokyo and Waseda. Japan has some great universities other than these two as well. Tokyo Tech, Kyoto University, Osaka University, and Tohoku University are all universities which are ranked in the top 100 universities of the world. So clearly, if you get into one of Japan's top ranked universities, you're not going to regret it. But keep one thing in mind, getting into these universities is very difficult. Acceptance rates for international students range anywhere between 10% to 30%. So you need to focus on profile building and you need to focus on your application documents as well. So what does it take to apply to a Japanese university? Let's first take a look at undergraduate education and then let's take a look at postgraduate education. Now, if you've completed your 12th grade from an Indian board and you wish to study in Japan at the undergraduate level, you're going to require some of the standard documents that you would require if you were to apply to other countries in the West. So you will require probably 1 to 2 essays per university. You require 1 or 2 letters of recommendations. You require your resume. You require an activity list as well. But apart from this, you might have to take certain tests. So let's say you want to study at a selective university in Japan, especially in areas like say STEM or business. Well, then you might need to take the SAT. Let's say your program is English taught. Well, then in that case, you'll have to take either the TOEFL or the IELTS to prove your English proficiency. Let's say you want to study a Japanese course or a course which is taught in Japanese. Then you'll also have to take a test called as the EJU, which is a basic test to test your understanding of Japanese as well as your academic ability. Now, apart from all this, if you're a high school student, you could also take relevant AP exams to strengthen your profile. And speaking of building your profile, the application process, or rather the evaluation process at Japanese universities is holistic, like in the US. So yes, while grades and test scores are important, while academic rigor is important, so are extracurriculars and co-curriculars. And so you need to plan your 2 years of high school, 11th grade and 12th grade accordingly. Postgraduate applications to Japanese universities are very similar to what it is to Western universities with a slight twist. So where they're similar is basically you still need to submit a statement of purpose, you still need to submit a letter of recommendation, 2 or 3, you still need to submit your resume. You also need to take the TOEFL or the IELTS if you're going for an English taught course. But if you're going for a Japanese taught course, then you'll need to take another exam called as the JLPT, which you will need to clear at the N2 level. Now, pretty standard so far. Where the application process at the postgraduate level is different from Western universities is in addition to all of these documents, you also need to submit a research proposal in most cases. So how does this work? Well, 9 to 10 months before the application deadlines, what you would need to do is you would need to reach out to professors from different Japanese universities and submit a research proposal. If your research proposal is accepted, then it is on the basis of that accepted research proposal that you can apply for your master's program to Japanese universities. Now, in theory, you could also apply to the Japanese universities without getting an acceptance for your research proposal, but in such cases, the rejection rates are very high. So you want to make sure that you contact multiple professors from different universities way in advance of the application deadlines to maximize your chances. Now, when it comes to your intakes, you have 2 main intakes in Japan. You have an April intake, which is the main intake in Japan, and then you have the September intake, which is a smaller intake, but where you have most of the English taught programs. So it is the September intake, which is the most popular intake for international students, and deadlines for the September intake for universities, both for undergraduate as well as postgraduate levels, is typically in November the previous year to February in the same year. Now, as mentioned earlier, education in Japan is quite affordable. If you're looking at public universities, then you'll be charged anywhere between 3 lakh rupees to 6 lakh rupees per year for your education, both at the undergraduate and postgraduate level. And if you're looking at private universities, you'll be charged anywhere between rupees 4 lakh to 9 lakh per year. In addition to this, you'd also have to pay for living expenses, which go anywhere between 40,000 rupees per month to 80,000 rupees per month, which is still far more affordable than Western countries where typically it costs anywhere between 1 to 1.2 lakhs per month. All in all, a 4-year undergraduate degree in Japan will cost you around 40 to 45 lakhs, whereas a 2-year postgraduate degree in Japan will cost you anywhere between 20 to 25 lakhs. Pretty affordable when you compare it to countries like the US, UK, Canada, or Australia. Now, if you still want to increase the affordability of your education in Japan, you'd be happy to know that the Japanese government actually allows students to work part-time while they're studying. So as an international student, you're allowed to work up to 28 hours per week while university is in session. And when you have a break between two terms, you can actually work full-time, 40 hours a week. During this time period, both in session and when school is not in session, students earn anywhere between 80,000 rupees per month to 1.2 lakh rupees per month, which is more than enough to cover your cost of living. And if you want scholarships, well, those are plenty as well. You have two primary scholarships in Japan. You have a MEXT scholarship and a JASO scholarship. Both of these are Japanese government scholarships. Now, the MEXT scholarship covers your tuition fee for the entire program. It gives you a stipend to cover your monthly living expenses for the entire program. It also pays for your one-way ticket from whichever country you're coming from to Japan and one-way ticket back from Japan to your home country. So it's a pretty good deal, but only 5 to 10% of the students who apply for the MEXT scholarship actually get it, which is why you also need to apply to the JASO scholarship. Now, the JASO scholarship will only cover your living expenses by giving you a monthly stipend, but more than 50% of the students who apply for the JASO scholarship actually get it. And in theory, you could apply to both these scholarships, but remember that if you get both these scholarships, you can accept only one as per the rules of the Japanese government. Now, apart from all of this, you can apply for separate scholarships that are offered by different universities. Many of these scholarships you need to apply separately for, but for many scholarships, you're automatically considered as a part of the university application process itself. Now, once you graduate from university, you'll need a job in Japan to survive. Finding a job in Japan is very similar to finding a job in India after graduation. So just like you have campus placements in Indian colleges, you also have campus placements at Japanese colleges. There's a 3 or a 4 month period which is called as shukatsu, during which companies come on campus, conduct info sessions, conduct interviews, conduct placement drives, and select students. And the great thing about this whole process is that Japanese universities actually help international students get jobs. So they help with reviewing your CV and resume, they help with positioning your profile in the right way, they help with aptitude test preparation as well as mock interviews and interview prep in general. So this is very different from Western universities, which actually do not help international students to get jobs. Alright, so because of this, most international students actually end up with a job within 3 months from graduation. Now, the quality of the job that you get will actually depend upon your level of Japanese proficiency, because all things said and done, most Japanese cannot speak English. There are a few ways you can get good jobs in Japan without knowing Japanese, but those are in niche areas such as IT, robotics, and AI, where your technical skill matters more than your language skills. But for other roles which are more customer facing, talk about sales, finance, marketing, HR, operations, or even healthcare, you would need to have high level of Japanese proficiency to get a job. Now, there are two ways how you can increase your chances to get a job in Japan. One is obviously learn the Japanese language, but the second way is to get internships while you're studying in Japan. Universities will also help you with the internship process as well. In terms of salaries, as an undergraduate student, you can expect a starting salary of anywhere between 1.8 to 2.5 lakhs per month. As a postgraduate student, you can expect a salary of anywhere between 2 lakh rupees to 3 lakh rupees per month. So the salaries are decent, but they're not as high as what you would get in some other Western countries. On top of that, you would also need to pay taxes. So typically, international students end up paying between 5% to 20% in terms of income tax. They pay an additional 10% in terms of resident tax, and they pay 15% for social insurance. So that sounds like a lot of taxes, but one key thing to note is that the 15% social insurance that you would pay to the Japanese government would be equally divided between you and your employer. So the tax burden isn't as high as what it would seem. And I know that all of this sounds very complicated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link to a Japanese tax calculator in the video description, which you can click on and calculate what tax you would pay at different income levels should you choose to study and work in Japan. And one last thing to note is your salary in Japan will not increase dramatically year over year. Typically, salary increases are between 3% to 6% per year if you continue with the same company. And if you switch companies, you can probably expect a hike between 10 to 15%. Now, getting a job in Japan only helps you recover your investment if the government allows you to stay back. You'll be happy to know that once you graduate and once you get a job, the Japanese government actually allows you to get a work visa which can range anywhere between 1 year in duration to 5 years in duration. It isn't lottery based. You basically get a job, show your contract, and you get your work visa. Now, the duration of the work visa that you get between 1 year to 5 years actually depends upon your salary level, the technical skills that you have, and the reputation of the company itself. Companies that have great reputations with a lot of fiscal discipline have a track record of getting students work visas which are longer in duration. But it is very common for international students to first get a 1 year work visa, and when they renew it, they get work visas for longer durations. And by the way, there is no cap on the number of times you can renew your work visa. So in theory, you could keep working in Japan for the rest of your life without even actually getting a PR. However, if you want to get a PR in Japan, then there is a points-based system for that as well. Typically, it takes students 10 years to achieve PR status in Japan, but I know of a few cases where students have gotten the required points within 3 or 4 years itself. The point system works on several parameters. You typically get points for things such as your age, your skill level, your salary level, seniority level within your organization, and your level of Japanese proficiency as well. Now, in the worst case scenario, let's say you don't get a job on graduation from university, and the Japanese government doesn't make it so that you have to return back to your country. No. Instead, you can work for a job search visa. You get a job search visa for up to 6 months, which you can extend for another 6 months for a total of 1 year. When you're on this job search visa, you can search for jobs and you can work in part-time jobs. But the moment you get a full-time job, you need to convert this job search visa to a work visa. To round up this video, let's talk about the life, food, and culture in Japan. Now, your exposure to Japan probably comes from mediums such as anime, manga, and movies. And while certain stereotypes in these visual mediums certainly are true, many are not. For example, every anime has that one anime character who is loud and obnoxious. But no one in Japan actually talks or behaves like that. In fact, Japanese people are very polite, are very hygienic, and have a high degree of civic sense. In fact, when I was roaming the streets of Tokyo, I could not see even a single piece of garbage. And this is a city with a population larger than Mumbai. Now, another concern that people have with Japan is the cuisine, the food. We are used to Western cuisine and Indian cuisine, not so much with Japanese cuisine. But I am happy to report that from personal experience, I can tell you that you get Indian food in almost every major city of Japan. You also get Western cuisine, and for the vegetarians out there, you'll get plenty of vegetarian options as well. Now, when it comes to language, it is a real barrier in Japan. I had to use Google Translate even for simple tasks such as talking to a cab driver and doing groceries in the city of Tokyo, which is again their largest and most populous city. But this shouldn't scare you because many Japanese universities have now started teaching international students Japanese as a part of the curriculum for 1 year, so you should be able to get around with time. The last thing that I want to tell everyone about Japan is the Japanese work ethic. It is legendary to say the least. People take a great deal of pride and honor in their work. Everyone submits their work on time, every time, at a very high level of quality. And this is something that international students are going to have to deal with when they go to Japan. As an international student, you'll be expected to submit class assignments and project work on time every time. This is very different from the Indian education system, where deadlines are pretty relative and we take pride in the concept of jugaad. That's just not a thing in Japan. So yes, if you do wish to study in Japan, you're going to have to make certain changes, but it will certainly be worth it. Now, that was all I wanted to cover about studying, working, and living in Japan. If you have any queries about the study abroad process in general or about studying in Japan, feel free to drop a comment and we'll be happy to respond. I'll see you in the next one.